So yesterday when I was finishing up, a fellow came along here and he started playing his music. Yeah, he was a gifted artist. So the thought was that we should get together this morning, but he hasn't come, but instead there are two fishermen here. They seem to have a lot of tackle. Boker Tov. Yesh Nagim. So we're here in familiar turf for Peter and John, and they really get a scathing account of their behavior at the end of Mark's Gospel, struggling to believe, refusing to believe, wrestling with the fact of Jesus risen from the dead. And now they're in front of the Sanhedrin with incredible courage. So it's good that we have these readings together. This lady from Magdala, Mary of Magdala, was sent by Jesus to tell them that he is risen. And guess what? They don't believe. And then he appeared to the other two, presumably on the way to Emmaus, the way it's told in Mark's Gospel. It's a story much more built out in Luke's Gospel, chapter 24. And they don't believe either. So we have this repeated attitude that's absolutely factually reported in Mark's Gospel. And this morning I had a little light about this that I always found a little bit troubling that Mark's Gospel ended up like this. And the thought came this morning, especially when you have Peter and John in front of the Sanhedrin. So they're now being refused belief. But they themselves were ones who refused belief. So they know the turf. Not only do they know the lake, they know their own unbelieving hearts. And that seems to be a scheme of things. We all go through our own struggles, and many people of faith, of believers, can't understand why the others don't get it. Can't understand why the other's heart is hardened. But maybe the path of the church always has been like this, and will always be like this in this world. Would always be resistance. That was a catfish there. There'll always be resistance. And this is our path. And so when you have the Sanhedrin in front of a crippled man that everybody in the whole city of Jerusalem knows is healed, and is healed through the words of Peter and John, but not caused by their words, in a secondary way, yes, but primarily caused by the action of Christ, the risen Lord. And Peter is very clear about who deserves the credit, who gets the credit for that miracle. It's not him. He was just a voice for the powerful word that cured the man. And in front of this very undeniable fact, you have this incredible resistance in the hearts of the Sanhedrin, the highest, the Supreme Court, if you will, the highest juridical body. They're the people that the Romans needed to deal with. Herod more or less, but Herod was a lackey. He was just interested in his own power. These people are a more authentic voice. The Sanhedrin is a more authentic voice for the people. It's the people with the faith identity as much as one leg is in the worldly interest and one leg is in the faith. But I think with Herod there was very little in the faith interest there. Well, I shouldn't judge him, but it doesn't seem very probable that he was very devout. And here we have this amazing scenario of the top leaders of God's people refusing to adapt to the new aspects of this revelation. They can't cope, they're locked. In a way they're paralyzed, their process, their political process, their thinking process is paralyzed. This is fascinating. And then at that point, you say, well, what's going to happen? Well, a lot of bad things happen when people are selfish. But at the end, there's a huge game that God is playing, a huge chess game, moving the pieces. He's now shaping John and Peter from just being loudspeakers of the message to carrying the contradiction in their own hearts. They're bearing the brunt of the resistance of humanity, in this case the leaders of the chosen people. And they're bearing it in their hearts, so they're becoming experienced in patience. They're learning a new level of patience. They're becoming more like Christ rejected, Christ crucified. And they will also be threatened with death and eventually martyred. So this seems to be an extraordinary way that God has for bringing salvation to the world. A way we wouldn't plan. It's counter to our grain. Therefore we need prayer and grace and humility to enter into this mystery. How else could you digest it? How else could you process it? That psalm then is a big challenge for us as well, in a way. I will give thanks to you, for you have answered me. Okay, but the answers aren't complete yet. They're definitely not complete for the high priest and the Sanhedrin. And Peter and John are filled with this conviction, but they're also facing this incredible resistance and on the potential path to martyrdom. And we pray the psalm, I will give thanks to you, for you have answered me. There's a lot to chew on here. I will give thanks to you, for you have answered me. My strength and my courage is the Lord, and he has been my Savior. So when we re-examine our identity in the light of these readings today, maybe we need to temper our complaint and our malaise that we feel and express over the hostility and the rejection. It's part of the plan, it's part of the process, and it's part of the path through which I will become truly, genuinely purified. In all my weakness, in all my own history of doubt and going forward a couple of steps and going back a step, I'm in the process as well, even though I'm sent out to the whole world as a baptized person. So people, God bless you. See you later, alligators. We have a big day today. The patriarch is coming, and some buses are coming from Jerusalem. There's a priest coming in from Louisiana. He arrived last night. God, thanks be to God. And a good friend. Maybe we'll do a joint live stream. And we have a big celebration today for the Mary Magdalene, of Magdala, the risen Lord, on the Saturday of the Easter octave every year. So maybe you'll see some coverage of that. Well, actually, all that, the big event will be filmed and put up on the, because it's a Eucharistic celebration and Mass. So you'll have a chance to see that later as well. God bless you.